the unit of inheritance. Right? So this is the difference in the definition of it. DNA are the genetic material, chromosome they are the rod-shaped structure, whereas the gene are the unit of inheritance. But these all three perform the common function. They all three have the common function, which is the transmission of character from parent to offspring. Fine. So this is a similarity and this is the difference. So difference is in the definition. One is genetic material, one is the thread-like structure or the rod-shaped structure. Then gene are the unit of inheritance. But all these three perform the same function, which is to transfer the characters from the parents to the offspring. So you look like your mother, or might be the father, or might be the great grandparents or grandparents. Why is it so? It is so because of the genes, because of the DNA, because of the chromosome. So the functions for all these three are same. The difference is only between the definition. Am I clear, children, now what is the difference between all these three?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
And you know it. It's a very, very basic thing. DNA is genetic material, chromosome are the rod-shaped structure, and gene are the unit of inheritance. This is the difference. And they all three perform a common function, which is to transfer the character from parent to the offspring. Fine. Now, if I say about the genetic material, it has the nucleic acid, right? So this nucleic acid has the four different types of the things present in it, which are the adenosine, thymine, cytosine, and the guanine. Fine. These nucleic acid will contain the four different kind of the components in it, which are named as adenosine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Now, what happened? Like you might be knowing that DNA is a double-stranded structure, right? DNA is what? It is a double-stranded structure. Strand means, what do you mean by strand? So it has like this. What this is one strand, and this one is the second strand of it. Okay. So this is the first strand, this is the second strand. So that is why we say it is a double helical structure. DNA is what? Double helical structure. Why helical? Because structure is like this. So it is like helix in shape. So either we say it as double stranded structure, or we say it is a double helical structure. Now what happened? This is actually the DNA, okay? This full structure is the DNA. Now what happened in between this helix? There are the nucleic acids which are present like this, okay? So can you see now here? They are the nucleic acids which are present like this. Now what happened? These nucleic acids or nucleotides, they are present in a sequence. In a sequence means always A should pair with P. What is A here? A stands for the adenosine. Okay, always A should pair with P. So always adenosine should pair with thymine. And then C should pair with G. C stands for the cytosine and G stands for the guanine. Clear? So in the double helical structure, always A should pair with the T and C should pair with the G. Now what happened when we talk about the pairing? There is a kind of bond present in between the two. I hope you are aware what is bond, right? In the chemistry, you might have learned about the bond. Yes or no, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Only one yes, others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now you tell me which is the most powerful bond, single bond, double bond, or triple bond? Which one is most powerful?
Single bond.
Single bond is most powerful? No, the triple bond. Triple bond is most powerful because if I am giving you one stick, okay, I'm asking you to break that one stick, you will be breaking it easily. But when I give you three sticks together, it becomes a little tough for you to break them. Okay. Same way, they also, the A and T also has a bond, which is a double bond in between them. And C and G also has a bond in between them, which is a triple bond. So always when the A should pair with the T, they should have a double bond. And when the C should pair with the G, they should have a triple bond. Now, fine. Now, in this structure, A will be here, T will be here, might be C is here, G is here, G, then C, T, A. Like this, T, A, A, T, it can be same, okay? It can be reversed, but it should not interchange with the other thing. Fine, A, T, C, G, C, A, T, then G, C, maybe A, T, A, T, like this. A pairing is there. Fine. So that is how the whole DNA is formed. And because of this sequence only, what happened? You might have seen or you might have heard in the movies, right? About the DNA fingerprinting, DNA thing, right? So we have to take out the DNA of that person. So what do? They will be taking up kind of the nucleotides from your body and then they will be checking the sequence. So this sequence will be matching to your parents, and that is how they are able to identify. But sometimes what happens during the time of the pregnancy or maybe after the time of the pregnancy, and mostly it is before the pregnancy only. So when the child is in the body of the mother, then what happened? Maybe due to the environmental condition, due to the pollution, environmental condition, or due to stress also, what happens sometimes the instead of pairing A with the T, it pairs with the G and T pairs with the C. Is it correct now? If this is happening?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, right? It is not correct. In that case, what happened? A kind of mutation which causes the certain problem in the body of that person, or it causes the diseases in their body. So this process where the sequence of gene changes all of a sudden in the body of a person, then it is called as mutation. And this mutation lead into the problem. Fine. So it happens rarely, but yes, it can happen in any ones of the body because of the environment, because of the stress, because of their eating habit also. So that is why we have to be very, very careful. So this is about the DNA structure. So DNA is a double-stranded structure. It has two helix. They have the four nucleotides. The four nucleotides are the adenosine, thymine, four nucleotides, which are adenosine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. Always A should pair with T and C should pair with G. A should pair with T with a double bond and C should pair with the G with a triple bond. Now, coming back to the topic, which was about the DNA copying. So, now we know about what is DNA. And this actually double stranded structure was given by the scientists known as Watson and Crick. So, Watson and Crick, they have explained about the structure of DNA. Now, coming to the DNA copying, as we have discussed in the last class also, it is a method where a molecule of DNA. So we have what? We have a molecule of DNA, and what it do? It creates two identical copies. So the same copies they will create. So it is a method, DNA copying is a method where the molecule of DNA, what do? They create two identical copies of itself. And where do they do it? They do it inside a reproductive cells. So these reproductive cells are basically the gametes. So inside them, they do this process. So in this process, the DNA will be creating two identical copies of itself inside the reproductive cells. For now, we have this DNA, for example. Now, when they replicate, what do? They will be making the two copies like this. The same way, exact copies they will be making it. And why they make it? So that they can just, why they make this copies? So that it can be passed to whom? It can be passed to the offspring. If they do not create these copies, if this replica has not been created, in that case, what happened? Whatever the mother she has, every DNA she is passing to the child. Then in that case, next time when she is going to conceive, will she be able to pass the characters of her own? No. Right? The characters of her own will not be passed. That is why what she has to do, what her body has to do, that DNA which is already present, it has to get replicated so that the original copy she will keep it with herself. So that next time it can be used in the same way. And whatever the copied Xerox are there, she will be passing those into the offspring so that they get some of the characters of the mother and the father. So what you have is half of the DNA which your father mother has. Same way now you are going to grow up, you are going to get married, and then you are going to have a sexual intercourse. In that time also, what happened? The mother like will be having the her own DNA, and that will be replicated to the other two, which goes into the offspring. So this process is called as the DNA copying. Now, why does DNA copying is important? This is a three marker question. Just give me our in 1 minute, okay? Let me complete this topic also. So, importance of DNA copying, it comes every year for the 3 marks. Why it is important to have the DNA copying? The first thing is it makes it possible to transfer, it makes it possible for parents to transfer characters to the next generation. Now, when they are able to do the DNA copying, then only they can pass the characters. If they are not able to do the DNA copying, they cannot pass the characters. So this is the first importance, that with the help of this DNA copying, the transferring of the characters will be there to the next generation. And the second thing is it generates variation. Very, very important. So because of this DNA copying, what happened? Variation will be generated, and this variation will lead into the evolution. So it generates variation during sexual reproduction. So during the time of the sexual reproduction, they generate the variation which leads to evolution. Now, as I told you before also, during the process of DNA copying, what happened? This is the proper DNA. When they copy the DNA, might be they got a little change like this, okay? Little change they have got like this. Now, next time when this DNA is copying, what happened? Along with the small change, what happened? One more change will be add on in there. Like here, this was a change, the first change. And the second change might be they will have one more change here. So what is happening? Slowly and gradually, all the changes which are happening, they are keep on passing from one generation to the next generation. Clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Others?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, because of this, it leads to evolution, which is like, the formation of the new species. New species will be formed because of the accumulation of so many variation. So it generates variation during the sexual reproduction, which leads to evolution. Then the next thing, it induces a difference in population. It induces a difference in the population. It means it will produce a difference in the population. Now, as I already said, like, generation by generation, some of the changes are happening. Now, those changes basically creates a difference among the individual. Like, if I talk about a very, very common example, like, you might not be aware, but yes, earlier time, maybe, somewhere, somewhere 20 years back and all. So during that time, the height of the person used to be very, very tall actually. They used to be tall, not like short like us actually. Nowadays, what is happening? Children, turn on your video. Nowadays, what is happening? The height of our person, like height of us also, has been reduced now. A bit it has been reduced. Earlier, my seniors were there who they were like very, very tall. They used to have like, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", 6" height. But nowadays, you might have seen in your school also, the height is not so good, right? It is good, but not so good. So this is what actually, this is happening because of the variation, generation by generation, those changes are happening, and these changes are, you know, creating the difference in the population. And this differences are good also and not good also. Why I'm saying it is good? Is it good or no to have the differences in population?
No.
No, it is not good. It can be actually, it can be good. For example, like maybe I'm a vegetarian person, Kashvi is a non-vegetarian person, might be. Okay, in that case, what happened? Are we going to fight? No, we are not going to fight. I am not going to bother what she is eating, and she is not going to bother what I am going to eat, right? Right? Same way, when these differences occur, it can be in any form. It can be the height also, or it can be the color of the eyes also, right? It can be the different color. Like if I talk about Aishwarya Rai, she has a blue color eyes, right? So this is also what a variation she is getting, right? So that can be useful, and it can be harmful also, because might be sometimes those variation will not be accepted, right? And you might have you ever heard the Lamarck's theory, uh, where they talk about the giraffe, like earlier the giraffes were used to be little small, but what happened to them? Why the neck became tall? How? Are they were same, like they were small, or they were tall from starting?
Ma'am, it is said that their neck, like the leaves on the trees were very high, so they just kept.
Correct. So what happened actually? It is not, naturally they had the long neck. It happens slowly and gradually. The giraffes were normal only, like, the other animals. But what happened? The crowd of the giraffe had been, so much. And because of that, they all started eating the grasses. Now, what happened? Each and every giraffe was eating the grasses. And ultimately, the grass of that area got disappear. Fine. Now, what they have to do? They have to search the shrubs now. So when they were searching the shrubs, they were eating all the same variety of food and they had the same height. Ultimately, the shrubs also got over. Then what is left out? The trees. Now, for getting the leaves of those trees, what they have to do? They have to jump. They have to, pull their neck high so that they can get the leaves to eat. That is how slowly and gradually, generation by generation, this keeps on going. And ultimately, after so many years, it was found that because of continuous stretching of the neck, the last giraffe which came had the automatically, naturally, the long neck. Fine. So this was actually the theory given by the Lamarck, where he said about all those things and he explained them very clearly. Since they were eating the grass, they were a little short. But when they tried, eating the trees, the leaves of the trees and all, so that is the reason because of continuous stretching, their neck became tall. So that is how actually it happens in our real life also. If some variations are there, those will be accumulating, gathering together, and all of a sudden they will be coming out to form the new species. Clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Have
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have you ever heard, like, if I cut, for example, if I cut the tail of a lizard, maybe for some 10 generation, will the 11th generation will be a tailless lizard?
No.
No, it will not be actually. It will not be. So variation does not get apply everywhere, and this the Lamarck theory does not get applicable everywhere. So if I also try, stretching my neck for so many times in a day and all, nothing will happen. It will not keep on stretching, right? But yeah, some of the regions are there. You might have heard, like, they will be wearing the ring actually in the neck, around the neck, right? So when they wear, and that is actually tradition for them. So they will be covering their neck with a kind of the ring-like structures, and they what happened all of a sudden because of the ring, the neck will get stretched. So this is like actually the mentality of the lizard. of the people, their custom also actually, they believe in that custom that they should have the tall neck. But nowadays, more than the neck, we have this, what do we call it as? Fat, right? Right, Abhinav? See, I have a
Yes,
lot
ma'am.
of fat. This is because of the eating, right? More than the working, more than the jogging, more than the exercising and all. What we are doing, we're sitting and we're enjoying, right? So that is what is actually happening to us. And this inner thing is also the problem which are created in our bodies because of us only, not because of our parents, not because sometimes it is might because of the parents, like some diseases are like transferable, but yes, most of the time it is our thing only that we are suffering, right? So I think some of you might be I told you about myself also, right? 2 years back, what happened to me? Did I told you? No. So, actually, yeah, before I was working in a school, I think almost like 1.5 years back. But since I got pregnant, and I was till then I was working actually in the school. But during the third month, what happened? Some problem happened in my body, and I was given complete bed rest for a good 7 months. So I was not allowed to move from my bed to anywhere, nowhere. I cannot go out. I cannot do anything. I have to just lie down, and it made me, so irritated actually. And that is the reason I started the things and all, like by lying down itself. And then in the month, like when I was supposed to deliver the child, then that month, what happened? I had the craving to eat something from outside. And ultimately, when I got the food from outside, like my husband has got it from outside, I got infection. Earlier, also, I was on the bed for 7 months. And then when I got the infection, I was not aware that I got the infection, but I just went for the normal checkup. And then doctor said like, okay, just wait for the report. As soon as I came back home, I got the call from the doctor stating that like you have to deliver your child now itself. Like, maybe tomorrow morning you just plan and just come. I was like, what? Because this is the first time. I never had that experience. I never had like, in my family, though I had the elder sister, but I never asked. I do not ask all those things. I am very kind of person who is reserved person. So I did not ask her what happened, how it will be, nothing. So I was like, what? Tomorrow? So then she said, like, yes, you have to actually, otherwise a big problem will be there because already you had the bed rest and now this infection is also there. And but I did not inform that I had something from outside because ultimately if I inform, then that's it for, my family will also will be giving me nicely and then everybody will, scold me. I did not inform anything to the doctor also. And ultimately, then we came back and we got the call, and then I said, okay, fine, then no other go. Otherwise, we were thinking like, in the April month, we will be finding out a good day and then we will be going. So, but that plan got flopped because of that. And then I think I was thinking on that day, we both were thinking on that day that tomorrow we'll have a photo shoot also, like, the maternity photo shoot we'll have. And when the doctor said that you have to come tomorrow to the hospital, I was like, photo shoot then what to do? So we canceled all those plans and then we packed the bag and they said, okay, fine, we'll go to the hospital because that is the priority. Because so much of like months I've spent on the bed rest and ultimately not getting something. So we were okay with that. And next day in the morning, 5 a.m., I just went to the hospital and I think within some 15 minutes, everything was happened. And I when they took me inside the operation theater, I was like, what is all these things? I never saw actually in my life, hospitals and all. I did not had the medicine, I did not had the injection, but during this time, I had, I think, almost 100 of injections and thousands of medicine I had actually. So, and then the doctor was actually diverting me. He asked me, like, where you are teaching? Are you teaching somewhere? What is your profession? What your husband does? And I was actually a bit unconscious. Because they have given me the injection. So he was just making me, to feel something. That's it. Then they did the operation. One of the child came out. Then I was asking in the sleep also, I was asking whether it is a girl or a boy. So the doctor said, just wait, why you are in hurry? Let us take out a second baby also. Because I had twins actually. So then he was like, let us take out the second also. Then we'll tell you. I said, okay, fine. Then they took out the second. Then again I was asking, just tell me now what it is. Because I was very excited. So then I heard like, they both were crying a lot. Then I said like, tell me what it is. Then they just took them, both of them, just to remove the blood because blood will be there all around the child. So they just took them to clean and they brought them up back. And I actually know that if it is a girl child, they will be bringing them in a kind of a wrap which is pink in color, and if it is blue wrap, then it is like blue blanket kind of thing, then this means boys. So, and when first initially one came, the first one came, it was like blue. I said, okay, boy. Then I was thinking like second should be in the pink. Then when they got the second one, it was also in the blue. So I like, okay, both are boys. Okay. I said, okay, fine. And ultimately, then what happened when they took them, to the NICU? They took them to the NICU. They were not allowed. They did not allow us to touch them also. So they took them to the NICU, and we were asking, like, continuously. My husband was asking whether we can meet or no. So doctor said clearly, no, you cannot meet. Then what happened slowly and gradually because of my infection, which I had actually in my body because of that food item, it got spread to their body also. And the body started, changing the color, all those things happened. And I was not able to see them, my husband, my family, no one actually saw them. And then daily so many injections, they small, and they were like very very small. They were like actually the size of the baby should be 2.5 after the birth actually, but they were just 1.9 and one was like 2.1, which is very very less. So daily they used to say, like, getting the medicines for them, injection they were getting because of that infection which I had. So, like this, the time was passing. Then one night, I still remember that night, like, the doctor called my husband. He said, like, you have to write a letter. We're stating that if something happened to the child, then we are not responsible and you should sign that. So I was like, what is that doctor saying? We can go to the good hospital, maybe, better hospital, but don't tell all those things. Don't sign anything. So he was like, no, we have to do it because the doctors are telling we have to do it. Then ultimately, then the platelets were reducing to one of the kids. So getting those platelets, my husband was running here and there to the other hospital to get the platelets. So that was the thing, like like those nights, 10 to 12 nights were like a little horrible for all of us. I was also like, though I came home, but my kids were in the NIC only, in the hospital. And 3 times I used to go to the hospital for the same injection, like antibiotics they used to give me. And every antibiotic will take 1 hour. So like this, it is like almost 15 days course was it. Why? To reduce that infection in my body. And same thing was happening to them there in the hospital. To reduce the infection, they were giving so many medicines, so many injection, and they both used to cry a lot because of those injections. Because they were very, very small. They were not knowing that. And as a mother, I was also not aware of those injections. But yes, since I had thought to have, planning, so I was getting it. But all of a sudden, then everything was like good. It was fine after 12 days. And then we said to the doctor, we don't want to be here anymore in the hospital. Just discharge them. We will take care at home because we have the person who can take care. We will take care at home. So don't worry. But we cannot afford because one day actually we were spending for, NICU, the charges were almost like 40,000, 30,000, and it was very, very costly. And the medicine, the test, it was separate. So a day charge was like 50,000, 60,000 per day. So it was happening like that. And then we said, like, if you want to them to keep, then you have to pay. We don't have money to pay. So then doctor said, okay, fine, you can take them. And then we brought them back to the home. That was the first time actually when they came back home after some 13 days. And I was new, I was not aware anything. They were crying a lot. They would keep on crying, and I was thinking, what to do, what to do, what to do. So it happens. So that is why actually, when we eat the food which is there from outside, we have to be very, very careful. You would never know, like, what kind of problem you are going to get into the body. We are taking it so lightly, right? Okay, fine, let it be, let it be, let it be. But yes, this can be, very, very risky. Especially when you are grown up, you should take care of your health very much. Nowadays, you might have seen in the fruities also, there will be worms. The Dairy Milk chocolate, there will be like kind of the worms coming out of those. So these actually happened with me. That is why I'm sharing my story with you. That is like, very almost like doing this journey of like my almost like, a kind of 9 months, almost like 10 to 15 lakhs we have spent. So it's better to take precaution rather than, taking the risk. So that is what I actually learned. Then now they are good. They are both are like almost 1 year and 3 months and sitting on our head. and making us, running here and there. So that is what is happening. And that is the reason sometimes you might be hearing, they're shouting, they're crying. So that is what.
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yes, tell me.
Which twin came first?
Which twin came first? Actually, the elder one came first at 7, at 7:53, and the second came at 7:54.
One minute elder.
Actually, that is not 1 minute difference. Might be, what happened. It was some seconds gap, but that second gap has created 1 minute difference.
Ma'am, same happened with my brothers. 30 seconds
Yes,
का difference है.
correct, correct, correct. So that is actually about me.
Ma'am, when were they born, ma'am? Like on which day?
4th of March. 4th of March they were born. You might have seen them on the status nowadays. So that is why very, very careful children with the, outside food, very, very careful. And nowadays this, five-star hotels also, they are doing the same thing. They are not, taking care of the health and the hygiene. I think last week my sister and the brother-in-law, they went to the hotel and they had actually the noodles there. Immediately after having those noodles, they started vomiting. And both of them, not only one. If it is like one, we were like, we could have thought it like, that was something else. But both they started vomiting at like together, and that is how we got to know that they got infection from that five-star hotel. Actually, the variety of food they should serve should be hygienic, but no idea actually why the people they are doing might be just for the money. So this is what is happening nowadays. Only money is counting, not the emotions, not the feelings. Right? So be careful, whatever you have, just think twice and then have it. That's what is better to have at home. Ask your mother to prepare something for you rather than eating outside. And especially don't eat in the rainy season. Rainy season is the worst season where you will be finding out, so much of infections spreading through the microbes. So don't do that. Be safe actually. Right? And today you don't have the math class, children. Instead of today, it will be tomorrow at I think 6:20. Fine, 6:20. And next week onwards, you will have the regular physics and chemistry classes.
Now, what about the test portions? I mean, we'll be having live process or this chapter?
Live process. Live process only. I think already have posted that.
Ma'am, what about the next
I
class?
too. I too, Dhriti, actually, so much. Yeah, Kashmi, tell me.
Ma'am, what about the next class? Are you going to take it?
No, no, no. I will not be taking actually. I will not be taking. That will be actually the break for you. Okay. So tomorrow now you will have the
Okay.
class. Today you don't have any class now.
What about
So whatever
tomorrow?
we have.
Any science class?
Tomorrow you don't have the science class now. Tomorrow you have the math class at 6:20 and the English and social studies will be as usual. And children take English and social studies also, as like the math and science because your point 0.5 marks in the board exams matter a lot. It will change your page actually. It will change your book actually. Fine, don't miss your those classes. It will be giving you a lot of ideas. Your important chapters are being covered there. Okay, so attend that because it is easy to score in English and social also. But you should work for that. Okay, fine, children. So we'll meet you next week now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.